Hello, this is Igoro, host of the Igoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. I'm Steve.
I'm Crypto Zoo. This is episode 57, and this time we have no lame rhyme for you. Nothing.
This time we have no rhyme.
That's the only lame rhyme that we do have.
And
so that's our gift to you this week is nothing that rhymes with 57.
Yeah, no, nothing I could think of. So let's, like you said, that's our gift to you. No stupid ass rhyme to start off the episode. So maybe we'll keep you with us a little bit longer. I wonder how many people like actually hear the rhyme and it's like throw the rhyme out there and they're just like, nope, and just shut it off. Nope, not happening.
And there might be one person out there that looks forward to the
few
rhyme
people.
Each time, you know?
Beside yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few people that have been sticking with us, and we appreciate that for sure.
Yep, definitely. And for those few people, we love you guys. Thank you. And to anyone else out there that would like to jump on board and you know, keep up with what we're doing and maybe throw a little something our way in support, you can visit our Buy Me a Coffee page at buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto. So it's basically like a tipping service. It's just a way of saying thanks or, you know, helping out the show. And it just goes towards keeping things moving along smooth here and improving our gear and improving everything that we do for the Steve and Crypto Show.
Yeah, it helps us grow. The Steve and Crypto Show. We got rhymes elsewhere though. So yeah, but there's other ways you can help the show besides going to buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto. You can follow us on social media, share our posts about the episodes, about the show. You can, we have a Facebook group for the podcast. Just search the Steve and Crypto Show and the group should pop up. So join that. We always post all the latest stuff about the show. We have a good a network of people that are posting, you know, fun, nerdy and pop culture themed stories and articles and stuff in there that are always interesting. It's fun. Get in there, the Facebook group, the Steve and Crypto Show Facebook group. And like I said, follow us on social media at CryptoZoo88, at the Steve Strout. We're basically everywhere, Instagram, Twitter. And just like I said, keep sharing the show, spreading the word about the show, leave reviews, let us know what you think. We take it all to heart. And you know, if we're doing something stupid, which we tend to do, let us know and we'll try to grow up and change our childish ways. Probably not, but
keyword try.
You can't teach old dogs new tricks. Sorry. But just knowing that we listen and we are here to listen to you will help you love us more. That's all we ask. We just want to be loved. But with that being said, before I mention this week's episode, what did we do last week?
Last week was episode 56, and we just, you know, discussed a few Christmas movies and kind of made a list of films that were kind of on the more family friendly side, and then towards the end, a couple not so family friendly titles.
It feels like such a long time ago that we did that episode. Like it's only been a week, but it feels like forever. Like I literally forgot. That's why I had to be like, shit, what did we talk about? Like, yeah, we talked about movies we like. Have you been watching? I mentioned that we were gonna look up some good holiday horror movies. Have you checked any out?
I did, yeah.
What did you watch?
So I actually watched Santa's Sleigh, the one with Bill Goldberg in it.
Oh, I hate you.
And Oh my God. I just kind of put it on while I was cooking and doing some other things. And it's not one that I would say I love and would watch again and again, but it was fun. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
And the beginning, the family that you see consists of like Fran Drescher, the nanny, and Chris Kattan from SNL. So
Right.
you got the nanny and Corky Romano who end up getting the ice pick in the face.
Corky Romano. That movie sucked.
Yeah.
Huh? I went through, actually, I've spent a lot of this week trying to run through quite a few Christmas and holiday horror movies. Of course, I watched Gremlins. We mentioned Gremlins, I think last week, maybe. If it's like last week, feels like 2 months ago.
Gremlins. It's a busy month.
Yeah. I watched Jack Frost, the horror one.
Yep.
That was hilarious. That was a good one. It was really funny. And I would definitely recommend checking that out. I couldn't tell you any of the cast in it besides Shannon Elizabeth from, like the American Pie movies and stuff. I watched Christmas Evil, which is a cult favorite.
I never heard of that one.
No, the dude is like he is dressed as like Santa, goes around killing people. He was kind of like a weird pervert dude. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's an older movie. Check it out. I watched actually last night. I fell asleep watching one called Rare Exports that was suggested to me, and it was kind of odd. Like they were doing, I don't know where the hell it was, fucking Sweden or Finland or some weird crazy place. Not weird, crazy. We love Sweden and Finland, but wait, some different place than here. They were like this mountain somehow was like a tomb for Santa, or the original Santa, who was like not nice, not like the commercial Santa we know today. He would like punish bad kids, kind of like Krampus does. He would just like beat bad kids and stuff, but they like unearthed him, and I don't know. It was weird. And I did mention I finally finished freaking Black Friday. It was okay. The ending.
Now this was the remake that you watched, right?
I watched like the newer version. Black Friday, the one with Bruce Campbell that came out recently.
Oh, okay.
It's about like shopping Black Friday. They all work in a toy store, and it's like Devin Sawa and other people.
Right.
So, yeah.
I was mixing up things for a minute. I was thinking Black Christmas, not Black Friday.
There's an old Black Christmas movie too. And then my favorite one I watched was, of course, I rewatched Krampus because that's a classic. I got this list in front of me, and I'm reading them, and it's like, damn, I don't even remember. And like, I just watched it. Like, I watched one called Slade, and like, I don't remember anything about it. It was so forgettable. But I think my favorite one I watched was like probably the stupidest one, and I don't know why I'd never seen or knew this existed, but there's one called Santa Jaws.
Oh my
basically, like these comic book creators created this. They created Santa Jaws. It was like about this shark that ate an evil Santa, and his spirit was in him or something, and he was just like going around. But the shark became reality from their comic, and the shark was going around like eating people, and like he would just swim away with like a Santa hat on his fin, and his eyes glowed red like Rudolph's nose, and like it was just so fucking cheesy, but I loved it. I'm also
what
the
is
guy
that on to watch. Like where can you watch
find that? That's like on Tubi, I think is where I watched it. I'm pretty sure it's on all the bad shit's on Tubi. I love Tubi.
Okay, that's where Jack Frost is at too.
I think that's on there too. You should watch it. Watch it with the kids; they'll love it.
They should have contemplated naming that one something else, considering there's already the movie with Michael Keaton called Jack Frost, and
they should just do a crossover where Michael Keaton puts the Batman costume on again, and he fights the evil fucking snowman.
Well, you could pitch that for the new Flash movie, because he is going to put on the Batman costume again in that film, in the new Flash. You'd be like, I got your pitch for the villain. Here it is. It's Frosty the Snowman.
Because he was like, besides Adam West, he was my favorite Batman. And I'm going to be just disappointed because he's going to be in a shitty new DC movie. and it's just going to disappoint. That's it. And I'm going to be pissed, and I'm going to bitch about it on here, and it's going to be that. That's all there is to it. That's what's going to happen. They're going to ruin my favorite Batman.
I mean, he's my favorite Batman as far as like live action movies go. But whenever I read a comic book, I always hear Kevin Conroy's voice.
Oh yeah, I think everybody hears that voice when they read comics.
Yeah,
same thing with like the Joker. You hear the Mark Hamill voice.
Of course I do. Yeah. But Michael Keaton is still, the greatest version on the big screen that we've had so far.
I think so.
I am going to try to stay open-minded about the kid from Twilight playing the Batman in the movie we get in March. I'm going to stay open-minded about it. And I say that because of this. When The Dark Knight came out and they announced that they were using the Joker as the villain once again, me being a lifelong Batman fan, I wanted a different villain, because by that point we had already had the Joker before. I wanted someone else we hadn't seen, maybe a Clayface, maybe Man-Bat would be cool to me.
Yeah, but the Joker is gonna sell more.
I know. I realize he's the most selling villain of the bunch. I realize that. That's why they keep going back to
anybody
him
like
again.
Clayface or anybody would have to be like the secondary villain in a movie.
Right. But Clayface would be awesome because you could be framing Bruce Wayne or whatever, and and then all of a sudden at the end they reveal like that there's a Clayface character going around impersonating people or whatever.
Right.
But anyway, when Dark Knight came out, I was kind of against the whole idea of another Joker and it being portrayed by Heath Ledger. I wasn't crazy about it at the time.
Yeah.
But he ended up being my one of my favorite versions.
Yeah, his performance was fantastic.
I loved his performance. So because of that, I'm trying to stay open-minded and I'm not going to just turn my nose up because it's the kid from Twilight coming in to play Batman.
I think if you've seen like the trailers and stuff for it, it does.
Oh, it looks great. It looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah. I'm hoping to go for my birthday because it's coming out not too far before that.
I just hate when you see a movie trailer and it's like, wow, this looks pretty good. I think I might dig it. And then you watch it and you're fucking disappointed. Like I finally got around to watching the Carnage movie and seeing the trailers and hearing you tell me about it. I was like kind of excited to watch it. Like I was like, I'm not excited enough to go watch it in the theaters, but after hearing you talk about it and seeing the trailers and stuff, and then I watched the new Spider-Man movie the other day, and it made me think about, dang, I should watch that movie.
Right.
And I watched it today, actually, a little while ago, and I didn't enjoy it.
No, you didn't care for it?
It wasn't good. It looked like they took a step back with like the CGI in the movie. Like it looked better in the first movie. This one, it looked really rushed and like half-assed, and like it just, I don't know, man. Like even like Woody Harrelson seemed lazy in it, like not to his best. I don't know, man. It was, but that's whatever. Spider-Man was good though.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't really take their time with the new film. Like, the first one did okay. And once they got the green light for round 2, they just went right to work, which is okay because of the attention span of people nowadays. You don't want to wait too long on the sequels. People start to lose interest.
Right. But I don't know, man. It was disappointing to say the least. But
did you watch the cutscene?
I did.
Before Spider-Man. Before we get to that, did you watch the cutscene?
I watched the lead scene. It was just a half-ass attempt to try to make it matter in the whole universe. That's what I felt like. But
they're leading up to something big. They're giving us what we want. They're they're given what a lot of us have been wanting, and we thought we were going to get that in Spider-Man 3. Back then we had that hype, like finally the Spider-Man and Venom are going to meet on the big screen, and it flopped. That was bad. So bad. That's what I'm saying. Like they're finally kind of trying to redeem that in a way.
They even try a little bit in the new Spider-Man movie, whatever the hell it's called, No Way Home or whatever, Homeward Bound. Yeah, but they kind of try in that
is Sassy in it
without spoiling too much. They do attempt to, and I think pretty successfully they attempt to make all the other Spider-Man movies that have been made up to this point matter. Which they in a way they kind of make them. They do. They try to. They do up to the movies up to this point. They do make them matter. And the thing you mentioned about the Carnage movie, there's a little bit of a reference to it, which I said it was spoiler, but I'm spoiling it. But you'll see it eventually, and you'll be like, all right, he didn't spoil it too bad. And it's having a good weekend. Like the fucking movie's over 200 million or something like that. I think it's pushing 3. But sadly, the success of this movie is hurting another movie I was looking forward to. Is the new Guillermo del Toro movie. Was it Nightmare Alley or whatever it's called? Like that is performing poorly at the box office because I guess their studio picked a bad fucking weekend to launch the movie up against Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is like a juggernaut in the box office right now. And but the Guillermo movie is, I'm hearing it's really fucking good. I'm hearing it's a beautiful movie, and it's really, it's a Guillermo del Toro movie.
Oh, it's bound to be beautiful then. Yeah, of course.
And it's good. It's just, oh man, I'm hoping that all the good word of mouth and people talking about it and saying good things about it helps it, in the box office over the next month or so.
Right.
Because if it performs as bad as it did this month, it's like not even going to be as bad as it did to open a weekend. They're going to like pull it out of the theaters within a couple of weeks.
They don't give them much of a chance anymore.
And it's tough, but I mean, that's how it works. Those motherfuckers got to make their money, But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Last week we also we got kind of cut short on time, and I wanted to offer, condolences to the family and friends of probably one of the most prolific horror writers ever, Anne Rice, who passed away a couple weeks ago. And I didn't get a chance to mention it last week. I didn't read her books. I mean, of course, I watched the movies that spawned from her books, and they were great. And, she was amazing and had a huge fan base. And it's always tough as a fan when you lose somebody that you respect and appreciate and look up to like that. So, like I said, condolences to her fans and family. Other things I wanted to mention, I know you'll be excited that they released some more images from the Evil Dead, the game that's coming out next year.
What?
Next year.
You gotta be excited.
I got my days twisted. Next year, they released some images from that, which I know I told you I would send you a link to, but I never got around to it because this past week or two has been insane getting ready for the holiday.
Yeah, this really is the probably the busiest time of the year for a lot of us.
It's crazy. But we do have a really cool guest for you guys to listen to. We had a great conversation. So I did have technical issues connectivity issues, which caused some chaos with some of the audio. So there might be some weird spots in the conversation, but we had a awesome, lengthy conversation, which we're going to release as a two-parter. So we're going to give you guys part one this week of we have a guitar player named Ace Von Johnson, who is a guitar player with the band LA Guns, like the multi-platinum band that blew up in the 80s. He plays for them, and he plays for another band called Neon Coven. And the biggest reason I want to talk to him because he's a huge horror fan, and he's also an advocate for, you know, pit bulls and pets. The good dude. He has an amazing collection of horror posters and stuff, like original stuff. We talked about a little bit in the conversation. He sent us some music, sent us a couple tunes from his bands that he's playing with right now for us to check out. He got a new song from the brand new LA Guns album, which we're going to run on this first part. And then part two next week, we'll have stuff from his other band, Neon Coven, and talk about all kinds of stuff. It was a good conversation. I know you went in not super familiar with the guy, but after talking to him, you're like super interested in, you know what I mean? He's a good dude.
Yeah, he was a very good dude, very nice guy. It was really cool to get to know him a little bit and talk to him, you know, hear about some of his projects and just stuff that he's into on the side outside of his work with his bands. And so yeah, I'm definitely going to dive a little bit further into the catalog now.
Busy dude, great guitar player, played in some great bands if you like rock music. So we're going to get to our conversation with Ace Von Johnson from LA Guns right after this.
Since we're all strangers to each other, let's get acquainted with a drink, shall we? Will you join me?
Yeah, there you go.
Just a sip might improve your humor.
Drunk in Public Domain. New episodes every Friday night.
I not only drink really, I really drink.
Join us as we take a drunken dive into public domain movies, music, and more.
Did you bring the money?
Don't bug me with the money. I got to get drunk now.
We may have to start drinking.
Come on, drink, pal.
On the internet. You can find us on the internet.
Greetings, it is I, Lilith Von Bloodworth from Mondo Creepy. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show.
Hey, we are on the Steve and Crypto Show with a special guest, somebody I've been trying to get on for a little while. A busy guy. He's in like a million bands and crazy busy. He right now he is a guitar player in the legendary rock band LA Guns. And he also has another project he's a part of called Neon Coven. We'll talk a little bit about both of them here, but we have Ace Von Johnson, somebody we connected through our beloved Mutant fam over our love of Joe Bob Briggs and crazy, horror movies and all the important stuff in life. But how you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. How are you guys?
We're good. Just keeping busy. Life, work, holidays.
Yeah. Very cool.
Do you do anything special for the holiday season?
Not really. Normally, I feel like the majority of the holidays, I'm usually traveling. Obviously, the last 2 years has been different, but Christmas this year, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to stay home with the dogs and, I'll probably put on like Home Alone or something stupid, Nightmare Before Christmas or whatever to get in the air quote mood and, maybe a Black Christmas or something, just go a little darker, right? Or Bad Santa Never Hurt Anybody and and then call it a day. What about you?
Same thing. Spending too much money. Family, gifts, movies, lots of movies. That's pretty much it, man.
Yep.
Doing all that around work. Do it all. It's crazy. It's hectic. It's a hectic time of year. It's like they say, like the song, it's the most wonderful time of the year and everything, but it's like this time of year is fucking insane. To be honest,
it's the most stressful time of the
Stressful
year.
time of the year. Yeah, I get that. It's Christmas. I think most people on average really enjoy the holidays, but for me, it's just, I don't have a lot of family, so I don't really do anything too festive. It's just sort of, another month.
right? I mean, you got to get into Halloween though, right?
Oh yeah, well that's a whole other.
That's a whole
other
thing.
thing.
Yeah. So, how did you spend this last Halloween?
What did I do? I think I just stayed home. I was expecting some trick-or-treaters here at the house, and we didn't get anybody, which was a little bit of a disappointment. I didn't get a single person. I presume it's just because of the pandemic or whatnot, but I think I just watched some movies. I think the week leading up to, I binge watched like the first 5 Halloween movies. And that was really it. So much of my life is basically Halloween all day, 24 hours a day, 365 kind of thing. So aside from the fact that it said Halloween on the calendar, it wasn't really too much of a different thing. It's not like I did carve some pumpkins. My girlfriend and I carved pumpkins about 2 weeks beforehand. And by the time the holiday rolled around, they'd all rotted away.
They're all rotted.
Moldy mess. But that was really it. There wasn't really a whole lot to do.
I made a mistake of carving, and I carved a pumpkin and we had it inside, and I didn't think to put it outside.
Yeah.
And we had, like a little cold snap for a minute here. So we're up in Seattle area. And so we put the heat on. And the next day, like the pumpkin was full, just mold. It was like the inside was just like a big furry ball. It was disgusting. But so I had to get a new one and carve another one. But yeah, he went outside though. That one went outside.
Yeah,
every day is Halloween for us. I mean, I kind of like what you were saying. We just watch more horror movies in October, more than usual.
Yeah.
You mentioned watching the first few Halloween films. Have you seen Halloween Kills yet?
I have. I can't remember if I'm actually moving closer to the router just to sort of hope that this alleviates any of this Wi-Fi nonsense. You probably see all these posters behind me.
I like them.
I'm digging it. I'm digging
nice.
it.
I mean, every day, like around here, is just, it's always Halloween, except mind the Christmas presents back there.
Right.
But I did see it, and I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love it. I thought it was a good follow-up to the last film. I thought the plot was a little wonky in certain areas. I hate to be so, I don't like critiquing horror movies nowadays unless they're really, really terrible, because I feel like it's such as fans, it's so hard to get them made and seen and out there that the last thing I want to do is be like hypercritical of anybody's artwork. But there were a few plot points or plot devices I thought were a little questionable. I did like the first one better. But it's cool to see a refreshing reboot of a beloved franchise, or not reboot, but you know what I mean? Would you call that a reboot? I mean, what would we call that? They're like sequels, but not, but then it's like the timelines get all jumbled up, which can be confusing to the average viewer, including myself. Yeah. But I liked it overall. I'll definitely go see the next one. I mean, I'm a fan of the franchise, so anything that comes out that I think is even going to be at least a decent horror film, I'm going to probably give my time to, assuming, I get around to it. Just again, like I was trying to say a minute ago, it's like trying to give attention and, a platform to whoever's making films like this and give them, whether it's my $12 or whatever the hell it is, rather than, be some guy that's like, oh, I don't want to support, and be a snob about it. I mean, there's plenty of horror movies that I know people love that I didn't think was great, but I'm not going to go, I don't want to be the guy that's like, I didn't like it because they cast so-and-so, or I didn't like it because of how it ended. It's like, hey man, I'm just glad that there's horror movies and that there's an audience like people like us that are able to put something on like that and enjoy it. And I don't want to be the guy that's like, well, the ending ruined it for me, so I'm not going to go see the next one, or screw that director. It's too much of that. So
it's somebody's creation. It's a lot of people, you write a song, somebody makes a movie, somebody paints a portrait. They put a lot of their heart and soul into it. It's like going to one of these people and they have a kid. That's something they put their heart into creating. And it's like, whether if you're like, oh, your kids suck, you know what I mean? Like,
it's definitely comparable to that. I mean, you don't want to, I say this all the time about my industry. It's like, unless you're creating something yourself or whatever, for people to go on the internet and take a shit all over something that is somebody else's baby or artwork or movie or music or whatever it is, it's like, if you can do better, great. But if you don't do anything at all, you should probably keep your mouth shut. And since I'm not a horror movie director, it's not my place. I wouldn't want to be the guy that's like, Ace Von Johnson from this band says that this movie sucks. It would have to be like the worst thing ever. Like, it'd have to make Troll 2 look like Titanic for me to go on the internet and like take a shit all over it,
Yeah. I mean, Troll 2 is entertaining, though. It was entertaining. It wasn't good, but it was entertaining. Yeah.
Steve didn't tell you that we're part of the Troll 2 fan club?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry he didn't mention
you guys are going to tell me about the origins of Nilbog and all this stuff?
Actually planning on moving to Arkansas so he could be my dentist, because isn't he like a dentist now? The dude from
I don't know.
I think he might be. Yeah,
I was kidding about that, though. I don't know if there is a Troll fan club. Did you see that documentary about it?
I think I tried to get in. I put it on and couldn't finish it. You know what I mean?
That's pretty much what I did with Troll 2. Put it on and couldn't finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to watch the movie a second time ever. The last thing I wanted to do was watch a documentary on
it.
Yeah. But fair enough. I'm sure it serves its purpose, and I do love their first one. So
yeah. Well,
that's pretty fun.
Let's talk a little bit about some music. That's your bread and butter. How about a quick run through of the career? Just quick. Don't need to touch on everything, but
you want like the 10-second, 45-second version?
The 45-second version, from the punk rock roots to playing in the multi-platinum rock band.
Okay, so late teens, played in a punk band, started booking shows. Made friends with a bunch of bands, mostly punk rock stuff. Joined a band with a record deal. Joined another band that was big in Europe. Joined the U.S. Bombs. Made friends with those guys. Made friends with all these different people all over the place. Joined Murphy's Law from New York City under the tutelage of my mentor Todd Youth, rest in peace. Started playing in a Americana rock band called Charlie and the Valentine Killers with some guys from Danzig and Faster Pussycat and LA Guns, which is how I met that whole scene. I was in my early 20s, maybe 23, 24, did a bunch of stuff around Hollywood, residency gigs and filling in for people and whatever. And eventually that one gig, we toured with Reverend Horton Heat and David Allan Coe and Headcat featuring Lemmy from Motorhead, and my buddy Slim Jim from the Stray Cats. And then eventually Faster Pussycat needed a guitar player. I was 26. I joined Pussycat in 2000. I came in 2009. I became a member in 2010. I stayed with them until 2019. In the interim, I played with Yerky from the 69 Eyes and his debut solo project. Did some time with a pop punk band called Unwritten Law. A ton of session stuff. I played on an unreleased session for Michael Jackson, if anyone ever heard of him. I worked with Tiffany, the pop singer, last year for an album that's been postponed because of COVID, but will be out next year. And then through Pussycat, I met the LA Guns guys, and I joined LA Guns in 2018, and I've been here for the last 3.5 years. We just put out a new record. It's my second album and third release with them. I think we did an EP for a bunch of holiday songs 2 years ago. Another live, Cocktail Loaded Live, that came out about 6 months ago. And then our new record, Checkered Past, just came out maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Recently. How'd I do?
That was pretty recently. That's the story. I know you did play with Madcap for a bit.
That was the band I joined. Yeah, that I that had a little indie record deal with Major Distro, and I was 19 when I joined Madcap. That's Johnny Madcaps, who gave me my nickname Ace, which I hated for about 2 years, and now it's just my name. And then after 20 years, and I did Madcap. I came in on the East to West tour. Was all this infighting with the guy that they let go, and some business issues that the 3 out of the 4 didn't agree with, and they let him go, and they brought me in. I think we toured for about 2.5 years. We made a really great record on Victory Records called Under Suspicion that I actually revisited about a month ago after about maybe 3 or 4 years, and was pleasantly surprised at how fucking, I guess, good. I was like, wow, it's pretty good songwriting for a bunch of like 19 and 24 and 5-year-olds.
Right.
And very, very The Clash meets Rancid, and with a little bit of Elvis Costello in there, I guess. And yeah, and then that gig led me to a bunch of other gigs. Like I said, like you said, I played in a ton of punk rock bands. Worked with Dwayne Peters a lot, the singer of the U.S. Bombs, who's on another planet. And then, did punk rock, blah, blah, blah. And as a musician or guitar player, songwriter, etc., I kind of got burnt out on that after doing it for about, in my late teens into my early 20s. And I wanted to be in a rock band. And here I am 20 years later in a rock band, so. I
feel like, I mean, I love punk music, but I feel like playing rock music, Faster and LA Guns and stuff like that, pushes your playing abilities.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of punk bands out there that are, and when I say punk rock, I mean like, the first couple waves of it. I mean, I'm talking like before at least mid to late 90s, anything before that. But there's a lot of bands out there with technically proficient players. I mean, there's a band from the UK called the Toy Dolls that are sort of like part of this, like, what are they called? Like goofy, like there's a term for it. There's like punk pastiche or something like that. And their songs are all silly, like Nelly the Elephant and Saw the Neighbors and all these funny things. And the singer guitar player, Olga, is like this award-winning shred, like Steve Vai guy, but you'd never know it because he's just playing
like
these Ramones
songs.
Yeah. And there's a lot of guys that came out of that. Even oh God, what's his name? Chris Shiflett, and his brother Scott are both coming from the sort of like 90s, like whatever you want to call it, like 5th generation of punk rock. Both those guys are really talented players. And if you were to look at their early stuff and like Face to Face or No Use for a Name, you'd be like, oh, they could just be any guitar player, but they have the technical prowess behind it, to play Randy Rhoads stuff. So it just depends on the player. But most punk bands in general, I mean, are pretty, that was the whole point, I think, as guitar wise in the 70s, was pretty much to play like dumbed down, like, even I could speak from experience. The second I learned to play Distortion and Ramones and Misfits, I went. So
yep.
It just depends on the person.
Right. So the new LA Guns album, we mentioned it, came out. It did come out a few weeks ago, I think. What?
Yeah.
October?
Fast.
I think October, something like that.
Mid-November. It's been about a month, maybe.
Now, you said this is the second full album that you've done with them. How much do you learn as a player, even though you've been professionally touring and playing in bands for how long time now? What do you take from recording an album with like Tracy Guns and Phil Lewis?
I mean, it's definitely all a learning experience. I mean, Tracy and Phil alone have so much history behind them outside of just being the voice and guitarist songwriter of LA Guns. I mean, Phil's got a really great colorful background. He had a band in late 70s, early 80s called Girl in the UK, that the guitar player was Phil Collen, who everybody now knows from Def Leppard, or as I refer to as the shirtless guy. And then he was in a band with Bernie Torme called Torme, and he had another project that I really liked that I'm drawing a blank on. But and then Tracy, I mean, aside from the fact that he's the Guns of Guns N' Roses and his history with LA Guns, I mean, he's done so much session stuff and outside writing and guest work and everything. Like, it's really cool to work with people that enjoy thinking outside of the box. Like, there's more to them than just being a guy from this band. There's like a broader spectrum to them as musicians, especially with Phil's vocal influences and writing style, and Tracy's playing. God, I've only known him for 12 years, and I would say in the last most of it 10 years, I've watched him already grow. And I mean, I don't mean this in a critical way, but I've watched him grow so much, going from just picking up as many different styles. And I think it's a lot, from like weird bluegrassy stuff and all kinds of, strange pentatonic licks to just more. He would be able to describe better than I can, because a lot of this is like theory stuff that I don't even grasp, or at least more so know the proper terminology. But, every year I see him progress as a player. And that's coming from a guy who 35 years ago was already like the best, influential. And, I don't want to sound like trivial, but it's pretty inspiring as a guitar player to just like, I'll go over to his house and we'll just sit down and dick around on guitars. And it's like, I can't even hold a candle to the stuff he does, but I'm able to learn a lot. And I've learned a lot as far as like songwriting goes. Just anytime I collaborate with somebody outside of maybe being used to somebody, working with people, if you're in a band for 5 or 10 years, you get used to certain things. But considering Checkered Past is the first album I've done with the band where I've contributed material or parts or, getting, writing credit. The album that I'm on before it is a live album of pre-existing material. So it's not like I really contributed anything other than just performing the music. But, getting to write with them and sending stuff over and having them go, man, that's really cool. I wouldn't have thought of that. Or, or, hey, that sucks. It's definitely, it's all a learning curve. So, I mean, even still at my 38 years on this earth, I'm constantly as a D+ guitar player, I'm always trying to learn and improve, try to get that C average going as far as my skills and chops and licks and knowledge goes, Yeah,
it's always learn. Like you say, even Tracy himself is constantly learning and it never ends as a musician.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like most musicians that are really invested in their instrument, whether you're a pianist or a fucking, or like you play the cello or a wood instrument or whatever. I think I said pianist wrong, but that's okay.
Pianist.
Yeah, I just was like, don't say it like pianist, and I said it anyhow.
That's right.
Yeah,
get a laugh.
Yeah, well, it's got to get the kids to chuckle, right? Whatever your instrument is, if you're really invested in it, you're always going to want to learn more and crave that. It's like my record collecting or fandom of horror movies. You're like, wow, I really like that Giallo film. What else is there? Man, I just discovered you can take it in any trajectory you want. If you just pick up a guitar and learn bar chords and some open cowboy chords and stop there, I mean, that's kind of on you. But there's definitely, I could stop playing rock music altogether and start being a jazz guy or whatever and start from scratch. There's so many genres and things out there, especially, with the internet as a resource nowadays. I mean, there's really no limit to learning anything. So I think anybody that's playing an instrument, especially guitar, I mean, I would just say, keep challenging yourself and learning. And I mean, I'm not a jazz guy or a country guy or really anything. I just sort of fancy myself as a meat and potatoes rock guitar player, but I'm constantly trying to, like, if I hear something, I mean, it could be Enya, it could be, Glenn Campbell, it could be just the most random, some Beach Boys guitar little noodle. And I might be like, oh, that was cool. If I made that from a major scale and made it in a minor and then move it down from D to B minor, then it's a whole new thing. And then now it's a riff I wrote with the air quotes there. So, because there's only 12 notes on the spectrum, or actually 7 whole tones and 12 half tones and blah, 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 all this music theory shit. It gets boring. But my point is that if you really want to expand your horizon as far as a player on any instrument, you just keep pushing yourself. And Tracy definitely inspires me to do that. A couple players I know, Sam Bam Colton, Alex Kane. I mean, a ton of my buddies are constantly like, trying to think outside the box. And I think that's the best way to be good at your craft. And on that note, I'll conclude my TED talk on guitar nerd stuff.
The album, what is the plan? Is there going to be a tour with the album, or is that any talk about that yet? I know it's hard to plan right now, but yeah.
We're not really doing much until summer, and I'll leave it at that. But at the beginning of this year, when the album was basically, on its way to being released, there were plans for, like 10 days here and 2 weeks there, and then some shows here in Southern California. And as COVID sort of was doing the whole up and down thing, we just, this show would get canceled and then this one would get postponed. And then we just basically said, you know what, let's just scratch everything but these sort of Southern California kind of, we would call them like one-off shows.
Right.
Because if we keep them on the books, we can all get to them locally, like drive out to Vegas, no big deal. But if we've got 15 shows on the Northeast booked and 2 of them get canceled and sort of tips the scale in the wrong direction for it to be affordable, then we have to cancel the whole thing, and it just becomes a problem, and then it's a loss of money, and it's all this business stuff. So we basically, and when I say we, I mean I had nothing to do with it, but the adults in charge at some point basically said, let's just postpone or cancel everything until we know what the fuck is going on. And so that's what happened, and we kept our album release show in Southern California, and we did a couple shows, Long Beach and Orange County and wherever the fuck else, I can't remember now. And then 2 dates in Vegas. I think one of the 2 nights was sold out. Maybe they both were. I can't remember. They were good shows though. And then we're playing New Year's Eve at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood. And then other than the Monsters of Rock cruise that we're doing in February, there's really not anything else till summer. So it's just, unfortunately, with the COVID thing, it's like we put the album out and it's doing what it's doing, and we'll support it when we're able to.
Now, has there ever been a thought of like you handling 2 bands in the same night, like you playing with 2 different bands in the same gig?
Yeah, I've done it before, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
There's talks of LA Guns doing dates with Faster Pussycat next year, and everybody, even though I haven't been in the fucking band in like two years, people maybe, I don't expect everybody to like keep up with my life, but people are like, oh, I can't wait to see you play in both bands. And I'm like, I'm not in both bands. I'm only in the one now. But for a good year and a half, I did do double duty, just not simultaneously. There were a couple times where I had a show on like a Friday and a show on a Sunday. And in my younger years, there were definitely times where I did 2 shows with 2 different bands back to back on the same bill, although I'm drawing a blank on with who. And I mean, even there was an instance once, it's not the same thing, but definitely comparable. In 24 hours, Faster Pussycat once played 3 different shows in 3 different states, which was a nightmare, but we did it. It was like we went on stage at like midnight in one state, and we're out of there at 4 a.m. We pulled in at like 10 a.m. and played a festival at like 1, and then hightailed out of there by 4, loaded in at 7 in another state. Of course, this is the Northeast, but they were still like 200, 300, 400 mile drives, and then played another show at like 10:30. So in a 24-hour window, I was on stage 3 different times.
Wow.
So there's been a lot of stuff like that, but not really in a while, especially I feel like obviously the last 2 years have been sort of, I'm like, back when we used to play concerts back in the 90s,
So, I know, I'm a drummer too, man. I miss it. I miss like being able to regularly go out there and play shows.
Yeah, it's a bummer, right? I mean, this is the least amount of work I've done in my entire adult life. It's depressing. I mean, the first 6 or 12 months, I was kind of like, all right, I could take 6 months off. I'm fine. But I'm on my the last time I was on tour was November 2019. I don't mean like 2 shows here or a weekend or whatever. I mean, the last time I was like on the road. So 2 years off it sucked. So I feel your pain, my friend.
I mean, I didn't, but when the COVID stuff started, I was out of work for about a month, and I was over it. I can't sit still, man. I can't. It's too much. And I couldn't imagine doing what you guys do and just the change, you know what I mean? Doing this thing day in, day out, and then just, nope, can't do it no more for a while. Like, oh man. Yeah,
it sucked the wind out of everything for a while. But fortunately, I just threw myself into other like aspects of my work. I did more session stuff as like a player in the last 24 months than I have in probably 5 years, 10 years before. And then just outside writing and just sending music to people, and all from the sort of liberties of my own house here. And I do a small amount of voiceover work as well. So I pick up a few jobs, and I've got a walk-in closet with a soundproof corner, and I just go in there and do it and send that stuff out. So I just found other stuff to focus on, fortunately. But obviously, that's, everybody doesn't have those sort of options for themselves. But like I said,
can you discuss your most recent voiceover work?
What was the last thing I did? A lot of it's just sort of like throwaway internet content, and a lot of it comes through, like, I just call it nepotism, like through like fans that are like, it's, hey man, I heard you do voiceover. And I go, I do. And they go, I've got a dentist business and we are doing a commercial. How much would you charge for this 30-second spot? And I go, I don't know. How about X amount? And then I walk downstairs in my pajamas with a, I was going to say coffee in my hand. I don't even fucking drink coffee. A cup of water in my hand in a coffee mug. And I go in the walk-in closet here on the other side of the living room. And when your tooth hurts, go to Steve's Tooth Emporium, or whatever the hell it is. The last thing I did that was fun was probably September. And I was complaining today because I actually haven't booked anything voiceover wise, and at least now it makes sense. I haven't done anything in about 2 months. And the reason I haven't done anything in 2 months is because I've been playing shows again. So I've been focused on my real job, but, which would explain why I haven't done anything since September. I did a thing for a buddy of mine, that is, I don't think it's out yet. Maybe it's one of those pre-order things. It's a book on DMC, the DeLorean Motor Company, like Back to the Future car. And we just did all these pieces. And again, it's like internet stuff. So it'd be like YouTube commercials and whatever. And I kept pitching. I was like, you gotta let me do a Dr. Emmett Brown bit. You have to. You're doing a thing on DeLoreans. Like, let me, Marty, it's your kids, Marty. Something's got to be done about your kids. They've got to get the book on DMC. And he was like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I was like, come on. And so at the last job I did, I sent him at the very end. I just sort of went for it. And I sent him this just candid, like, unscripted, like whatever. And he was like, okay, you're right. It's funny. And he stuck it in, I think like on the website as like a pop-up or so. I can't remember what he did with it. And then actually after that, I think, or around that time, I did a thing for Tiffany, who I mentioned earlier, no relation, of course, but Tiffany, the pop singer. I did something instead, as well as playing on her upcoming record. The person putting on her digital streaming show is a acquaintance of mine. And so they hired me to do the, like, up next, Las Vegas Live, Tiffany's greatest hits, like that whole song and dance. I'm overdoing it right now. It's never that like car salesman-y, but yeah. So a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's fun. I usually try to have fun with it, and I'll send everybody like, I'll be like, okay, so you want 30 seconds of like, okay, the Steve and Crypto Show. Okay, great. And they'll send me the script or copy or whatever you want to call it. And it's usually like 15 or 30 or 45 seconds. Sometimes it's people with like 10 minutes worth of shit, which is a nightmare. And I'll usually send 3 to 5 takes. And I usually try to make like one or two really professional, and then one that's just fun. And more often than not, they usually go with the fun one. And it's like working on music where they'll be like, I really like what you did in this paragraph, but I really don't like what you did here. And then so it's like writing a song. You're like, man, that bridge is killer and the guitar lead is awesome, but the chorus fucking sucks. So you just bounce ideas back and forth. And it's, for me personally, just an easy way to stay home and work and then be creative and do whatever. And again, like I said, walk around my fucking pajamas with my coffee mug with orange juice in it or whatever, right?
Orange juice, vodka, whatever. What is like the dream voice gig thing? Like maybe like a Disney movie or something?
Yeah, animation tenfold. I mean, I don't want to say his name because I don't want him to get annoyed with me. I have a friend that's he works at Pixar, and he's like top of the food chain, and he's a friend and he's also a fan. And so we'll talk maybe every 3 months or so. Nice guy. I'm going to leave him out of this personally, but every other time we talk, I'm always like, hey man, you ever need another voice? I got you, bro. Because that's like my dream is to do animation. And the reason I got into voiceover is as a freaking child, I think whatever, not to get all personal, I think I hit puberty at like 7. So everyone was like, we're going to go play handball. I was like, okay, I'll be out there in a minute. And my point is my entire life, everybody's like, oh, you have such a deep, your voice really, I can't ever whisper. Everyone's like, I got to tell you a secret. I'm like, you can tell me, I'll keep it to myself. And so I just heard that for so long. And I went to college to study broadcasting, and I just, which I didn't complete, of course, but I was like, well, what do I do that, I'm good at that doesn't require me to get a fucking 8-year degree. And I studied under a few people in Los Angeles, did a bunch of like workshops and courses. And what's the joke I always say? I go, as a professionally trained voice actor, blah, blah, blah. And I just started, kind of doing like the thing with music where I was like, hey, if you ever need a voiceover actor, let me know. If you need any blah, blah, blah. And I just started hustling. And I did a few things here and there, nothing of note. But now I've got a couple Netflix shows under my belt. So that really helped. And then speaking of like the mutant fam and the horror community, a lot of that comes from Joe Lynch, the director, Wrong Turn 2. And he's going to kill me for not remembering his entire filmography. But Joe really got me a lot of the stuff there and helped me a ton and made me look good when I walked in, and the casting director was like, oh, like who Ace Von Johnson? I walk in and the director goes, you're hired. I don't care. I don't want to see anyone else. We're hiring him. And the casting agent's going like, I don't know like why he likes you without even hearing you, but okay. It just made me look good, professionally speaking. And I'm getting way off topic here, but it's just been really cool. My dream gig, yes, is animation. I would love to do anything. I have a ton of friends that have done stuff for Family Guy, American Dad, probably most notably Craig Gass, who's a stand-up comedian. He's famous for doing Gene Simmons on the Howard Stern show. And so
Craig Gass,
we always just screw with each other. Yeah, he's
good.
I would say he's good. He's
funny,
a close friend.
Yeah,
trust that guy with my life, and he is excellent at what he does. But we only communicate in voice notes as other people. So he'll send me a voice note and be like, "Hi Ace, this is Gene Simmons from Kiss, and I want you to know that I was listening to the new LA Guns record, and aside from your guitar playing, it is fantastic." And I'll call back. I'll send him a voice note back like, "Hey, this is Paul Stanley from Kiss, and I just, whatever." And we just message each other. And but again, I'm learning. I'm taking notes from a pro here. But he's got some dream gigs. The whole Family Guy thing. I would love to do anything like that. Aside, 99% of the stuff I do is people just want my speaking voice. So and I love it. I'm not complaining, but I would love to. I auditioned when I had an agent years ago. I auditioned for something to do with Minecraft, and it was like a monster or an orc or some big hulking thing. And I read for it, and the engineer recording me, it's just like a big deal in Beverly Hills. It was all fancy. The engineer was like, "I don't know what you did, but if it was up to me and I was casting, I would hire you right now." And then of course they didn't hire me, but stuff like that. That's the dream gig is, animation and stuff.
Yeah.
And my 5-year-old is way into Minecraft, and I literally just bought him a Switch Lite today, and I'm about to get him Minecraft next week. And it would have been real cool to be playing that game with him, and knowing that you were in there.
Yeah, tell me about it. I would have loved that. I mean, stuff like that. Stuff like that's happened, but it's rare because most of the voiceover stuff, it's not like people are picking that up. But I did have somebody once who was a fan of a Netflix series that I was on, and they mentioned to me, they're like, "Are you in that show?" And I said, "Yeah, I voiced character X." And she was like, "Oh my fucking God, that was it's like this character that turns into a demon."
Right. And
she was like, "Yeah, it's amazing." I said, "Yeah, actually, that's probably the most animated I got to do, was becoming a demon in a voiceover dubbing job for a show called Marianne on Netflix."
I'll have to look it up. Definitely. Yeah. That's cool, man. I mean, it's all, even the gigs you don't get, you're always learning, like you say. That's what it's all about, And it's all, the dentist office gig is all resume stuff too. So once that list gets long, it'll,
everything is, I mean, if you want to be a contractor, you need a resume and you need experience and whatnot. And I mean, I'm still learning my craft both as a guitar player and a voice actor or whatever, even though I feel like saying a voice actor is pretentious. I do voice over, but just trying to keep a roof over my head at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's basically what it's all about, man. The bill collector ain't gonna stop calling. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Before we go on, let's you sent us over a couple songs to share on the show. So let's run Cannonball off of the new LA Guns album.
Cool.
All right, we are back. That was Cannonball from LA Guns, Ace's band.
In the middle of the woods, in a secluded cabin, lives Aaron, a deranged serial killer on a gore-filled path of destruction. With each new victim, his appetite for blood and carnage increases. There is only one problem, though. His victims don't stay dead. Night of the Undead Whores, an extreme horror novelette by Eric Capitan. Now available on Amazon.
Hey, this is Dr. Gangrene. You're watching the Steve. No, you're not. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show right here on whatever network you're on. I don't know what you're on. Don't ask me. I can't see what you're doing, but keep listening and tune in next week for more cool content on the Steve and Crypto Show.
Hey, we are back. That was part one of our interview with Ace Von Johnson. Make sure to come back next week to check out the rest of the conversation. Hopefully you guys are digging it. And if you are, of course, head over to buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto and show us some love over there. And we'll keep that going. We mentioned our friends over at Fright Rags last week. They were getting ready to launch a Kickstarter for the Silent Night, Deadly Night, the game. But that Kickstarter is live now, and they need your help to make the game a reality. So I guess, so Fright Rags teamed up with the producers of the Silent Night, Deadly Night cult classic film from 1984 to release a brand new original board game. And like I said, they just launched the Kickstarter over the last week for the game.
That's right. You got to make sure you head over there and support the Kickstarter. It's the holiday season, so you're not gonna be getting it for Christmas, but at least if you contribute now, you'll get to it. Early next year.
Yeah, I think the game is set for release because there's a whole lot of steps they got to go through to get the game published and everything, and it probably won't be till later in 2022 before it's released. But get on board now. It's the best way to do it.
Right. And if you want to go on and support the Kickstarter, you got to go to Fright Rags. That's the place to do it. They've been bringing you the best in horror apparel and accessories since 2003, offering a wide range of products for your favorite creature features, slasher flicks, and cult classics. Collections include John Carpenter's Halloween, Universal Monsters, Night of the Living Dead, Creepshow, Twin Peaks, Evil Dead, and so many more. All officially licensed and available soon or right now at fright-rags.com. Steve and Crypto Show listeners get 10% off when they use the code Crypto10 at checkout.
Yeah, so head over to Fright Rag, get some merch over there. The game itself is released separately through the Kickstarter. You can find the Kickstarter link on Fright Rags social media. So just find Fright Rags on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you'll be able to find the link to the Kickstarter. So be sure to go check that out. Get in on that. It looks like a really cool game. On the Kickstarter site, there's a lot of art and stuff from it. It looks fucking awesome. And I'm probably going to jump on that one and get it because as an avid board game player and collector, I feel like it belongs in my collection. But yeah, Fright Rags, fright-rags.com. Use Crypto10 at checkout and get yourself some merchandise, get some t-shirts and hats and whatever, and then head over to that Kickstarter. Now, I got to mention the discount code won't work on the Kickstarter, obviously, but let's still help them make this happen and make this Silent Night, Deadly Night, the game, a reality. Now, we thank you guys. Like I mentioned, next week, we have the second half of the Ace Von Johnson interview. So be sure to come back and check that out. I know you guys will love it. The whole Mutant family will love it because he's one of us. So come and hang out with us and Ace and keep on listening. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto. Follow us on social media. Throw us up some reviews for the show. Help us grow. And we will talk to you guys next week. We've been the Steve and Crypto Show.